This video will walk you through the disassembly and reassembly of the Microsoft Surface Pro X SQ2 tablet. Before you begin, ensure that your work surface is covered with an ESD-safe, non-marring material like this anti-static mat. Check that the surface is clean and clear of any debris or abrasive particles. Equip an anti-static wrist wrap and make sure that your work area is properly grounded and safe. To begin, make sure your device is powered off and disconnected from the power supply. Place the device face down on your work surface and raise the kickstand to about 90 degrees. While bracing the back of the kickstand with your hand, use your 3IP Torx Plus driver to remove the 2 hinge screws. While grasping both hinges, lower the kickstand to about 45 degrees. To remove the kickstand, we need to free it from the threaded bosses on each hinge. Secure the device by placing your hand on the tablet's back cover, then raise the kickstand about 10 degrees and pull the kickstand out and away from the tablet. Make sure the stand is at a 55-degree angle to ensure the threaded bosses aren't catching on the hinges. Once removed, inspect both the plastic tabs and foam on the kickstand. If the tabs or pads show any sign they may have left pieces behind in the device, abort the repair. The whole unit must be exchanged. Do not attempt to retrieve the stuck pieces through the slot. The rSSD is found behind this small door in the lower corner on the back of the device. To access it, begin by inserting a SIM eject tool into the small hole on the door to eject it. Use a 3IP Torx Plus driver to remove the single screw securing the rSSD. When the screw is removed, the rSSD will pop up at a slight angle. Gently grasp it by its sides and pull it out from its socket at about a 15-degree angle. Make sure to store the removed rSSD in a clean, ESD-safe area. Before we remove the display, we need to perform the pre-repair software preparation. To do this, connect the Software Tools USB drive to the device and connect the device to a power supply. Power on the device by pressing the power button for a few seconds, and once the device boots up, navigate to the USB drive using Windows Explorer. Run Step 1 Display Module Replacement.cmd. If the process completes properly, the device will power down automatically. Finally, disconnect the device from the power supply. Begin by inserting the edge of a plastic opening tool into the seam between the right speaker mesh and the edge of the device. Pull the opening tool towards the device to deform the speaker mesh and create a gap in the speaker mesh area. Then slide the opening tool along the length of the speaker mesh to push it towards the device. The speaker mesh should either deform or slide underneath the touch display module. Repeat this process on the left-hand side. To separate the touch display module, we'll be using an opening pick, but we need to make sure we never insert it more than 3 mm into the device for the next few steps. Measure your opening pick and mark a 3 mm depth on the pick to help guide you as you slice through the left, right, and bottom edges. Insert your marked pick into the lower corner of the right speaker mesh area and slide it down the edge of the device, making sure never to insert the pick more than 3 mm. This may require significant force, but it should only take you about 10 to 15 seconds to slice edge to edge. Continue slicing along the bottom edge and up the left edge, making sure never to go deeper than your 3 mm mark. The top edge of the device uses slightly thicker adhesive. Measure out and mark a 10 mm depth on your opening pick to help guide you through the next steps. Slide your pick along the top edge, making sure never to insert it more than the 10 mm mark you've made. At this point, the left, right, and top edges of the touch display module should be loosened from the tablet's back cover. Lift the edges of the tablet slightly and use an opening pick to slice through any remaining strands of adhesive. Grab the top corners of the touch display module and slowly swing it up to about a 90-degree angle. Be careful not to attempt to completely remove it, as it's still connected by a cable and there will still be some residual adhesive along the bottom edge. While supporting the touch display module with one hand, slide an opening pick along the bottom edge to slice through any remaining adhesive. Flip the touch display module over and set it face down on the device, making sure not to strain the attached cable or touch any of the internal components. To disconnect the touch display module cable, first insert a pair of tweezers underneath the clip at the corner of the cable shield. Carefully pry out and up to release the clip. Repeat this process on the other front corner of the shield and lift the shield to remove it. Insert the point of a spudger underneath one side of the cable connector and pry up to loosen it. Then pry up on the other side to completely disconnect it. Remove the touch display module and place it in a soft, ESD-safe location. To begin reassembly, we first need to clean any remaining adhesive off the tablet's rear case. Use a pair of tweezers or an opening tool to remove any large chunks of adhesive, and then use some isopropyl alcohol to remove any remaining residue. Make sure the camera and IR sensor areas are also cleaned as well. Lay out replacement PSA strips in the orientation that they will be applied with their blue liners facing up. Peel the clear liner from a strip to expose the adhesive, and then carefully align and set the adhesive strip in place, making sure the adhesive follows the case outline. Next, use your fingers to press the adhesive into place on the case. With your new touch display module laying face down, retrieve your replacement speaker mesh pack and remove the protective liner from it. With the adhesive side facing down, align the speaker mesh with the speaker opening and set it into place. Use the flat edge of a tool, such as your tweezers, to press down on the speaker mesh for about 10 seconds to activate the adhesive. Flip the touch display over and verify that the speaker meshes are properly aligned. Place the touch display module face down over the device, aligning the cable to its socket, and carefully press down on one side of the connector and then the other to fully seat it. Align a new cable connector shield over the connector and press down on both sides to click it in place. Remove the blue liners from all 4 adhesive strips and grab the touch display module by the side and flip it over. Align the top edge of the touch display module so that it rests against the lip of the case, but not sitting above it. Once the touch display module is aligned, set it into the device, making sure it's flush and doesn't rest anywhere on top of the case's lip. Place a bonding frame over the touch display module, making sure that the cutouts in the frame line up with the buttons on the tablet. Then place a foam pad over the bonding frame. Place a 50-pound, evenly distributed weight on top of the foam pad and align it with the edges of the bonding frame. Leave the weight on for about a minute to bond, then inspect the perimeter for scratches, gaps, or cracks. To reinstall the rSSD, slide the replacement rSSD into its socket at about a 15-degree angle with the labeled side facing up. Using your 3IP Torx Plus driver, install a new screw to secure the rSSD. Make sure to install the screw until it's seated, and then tighten it an additional 1/8 of a turn. Align the top edge of the rSSD door to the rSSD recess. Then gently push down the bottom edge of the rSSD door until it latches in place. The rSSD door should sit completely flush with the rest of the device. Once installed, use a BMR imaging USB drive specific to the device to image the new SSD, and then run SDT to ensure all device features and functions are as expected. To reinstall the kickstand, first make sure the hinges are set to a 45-degree angle, and then align the plastic tabs with the device slots. Gently slide the tabs 3/4 of the way in, making sure not to use any tools or objects for the insertion process, and never use excessive force when inserting the tabs. They should slide in easily. Tilt the kickstand slightly to slot the outer lip into the respective kickstand recesses, and then ensure that both hinges are properly seated and sitting flush with the kickstand. With the kickstand aligned, tilt it down about 10 degrees to seat the threaded bosses into the hinges. This should fully insert the plastic tabs in their slot. Grasp both hinges with your fingers and raise them to about 90 degrees. Apply some Loctite SF7649 activator to the new hinge screws and let the screws sit for 2 minutes before installing them. Next, apply 1 drop of Loctite 243 thread locker to each hinge screw hole. Make sure the kickstand is properly seated, and then brace the back of the kickstand with your hand. Install both screws until seated, and then turn another 1/4 of a turn to fully tighten them. Fold the kickstand down and remove any protective plastic. Lastly, ensure the kickstand is flush with the rear case of the tablet and there are no obvious gaps between the kickstand and the case. Then use a microfiber cloth over the entire device to remove any fingerprints. With the tablet reassembled, we now need to successfully run software calibration to finish the repair. If the software fails at any point, you need to restart the display replacement with a new field repair kit. Connect your software USB tools to the device and power the device on by pressing the power button for a few seconds. Once the device boots up, navigate to the USB drive using Windows Explorer and run Step 2 Display Module Replacement.cmd. Accept the restart prompt and run SDT to ensure all device features and functions operate as expected.